Well, it's official that he is leaving Liverpool. The next step is coming to Madrid, and it's already done. The Fabrizio Romano and company have started to report it on social media. Welcome, Madridista. How are you? This was the video of almost 3 minutes. Let's watch the first part in which Nervous and with a farewell look, Trent Alexander-Arnold was speaking to his fans, to the Liverpool fans.
Después de 20 años en el Liverpool Football Club, me iré al final de la temporada.
After 20 years at Liverpool, I'm leaving at the end of this season. There's still football left in England, but having already won the league with Liverpool, he understood that this is the best time to say it. So now we have the doubt of whether he will be able to play with us, with Real Madrid, in the Club World Cup. Well, I understand that, yes, because Liverpool is not in the Club World Cup, and I understand there will be no problem. We'll find out. I bet yes. On the thumbnail, I put the photo with Xabi Alonso because it seems to me that this is going to start this small, not a major reconstruction of Real Madrid, but rather a new cycle. There will be a lot of summer left to consider if this was a more necessary signing. Certainly it's an opportunity, isn't it? A footballer like this, excellent, beyond the considerations later, whether we've talked about it in many videos. I don't want to repeat myself much, whether he defends well or not. Well, I think having Carvajal and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is a guy you can even pair with Carvajal because he can play as a midfielder, is a great move by Madrid. But it's of course on the left, who you can't have two such disproportionate sides, right? The right, the best in the world or among the best in the world, and then on the left, well, you have Mendia and Fran Garcia. I insist, I do not want to kick Fran Garcia out of Real Madrid. I think he could be a good substitute, but you do not need to sign a great starter for the left back position this summer. And let's not even talk about the center backs and such, but it is part of another video, and we are here to say that it has been a busy morning because of this, the farewell of Alexander-Arnold, which is now official, and the announcements by the figures who on social media have more voice or more weight, claiming that he is going to Real Madrid. But watch out. Careful, last this was already mentioned back in the day, and the first to say it was Ramon Alvarez de Mon, right? Claiming that Trent Alexander-Arnold, I also think it was in January, was going to play at Real Madrid this upcoming season. So our congratulations, certainly as always, to Ramon, who gets ahead of this type of thing. Well, we are in the aftermath of what we saw yesterday with Gil Manzano, right? And we saw things that we already mentioned in the previous video. Incredible, like this handball by Marcos Alonso, a very clear handball inside the box, which stopped an advance by Mbappé and the control by Mbappé inside the box. It's shocking that it didn't go to VAR. Now we speak of the VAR, and of course this penalty on Fede Valverde on the line, already inside the area, which reminded me a lot of the one they committed on Vini at El Sadar, and that once again the VAR was left without entering, or at least did not notify Gil Manzano, who was on the field. Gil Manzano, well, Gil Blaugrana, as Vikingo Blanco calls him, because the anti-Madridistas are still saying that this guy is the one who has favored Madrid the most in recent years and has played us in, but in every possible way. To me, he's already in a top 3 ranking of the worst referees for Real Madrid. That disallowed goal for Bellingham in Valencia, those 3 penalties, 2 of which weren't for sure, and a goal that Valencia should have disallowed due to a previous foul in that match from some years ago when it was said he was the best referee for Real Madrid. Oh my, the first time in history that the 3 penalties thing happened against us, and he was there. And of course, but this what happened yesterday. I mean, yesterday there were these 2 plays plus the corner that wasn't in Celta's favor, leading to Celta's first goal. But what I'm not going to do is, because a lot of people have told me, hey Miguel, there's also a sending off that a Celta player deserved against Mbappé. I didn't mention it yesterday because, damn, I need to be consistent here. I mean, I don't think this deserved a red card. Let me explain why. even though in this snapshot, perhaps it is not the best to support what I am going to say, because it seems that the ball is going to Mbappe. Yeah, if you remember the play in motion, Mbappe was not in control of the ball. That ball was never going to reach the Real Madrid forward, because of the speed and where it is. The Celta goalkeeper was going to reach it first. I was going to say that's how it was. Mbappe ended up on the ground, but he would never have made it. That it's a foul, that it's a grab and a yellow card for the Celta player. Yes, that is red, no. But because he's not in control of the ball, and also despite being the last man, the Celta player, the ball is far away. That's what it seems to me. Many of you have said, no, that's a red and so on. I have to be consistent with things I think. Like, for example, that day when I said that it shouldn't have been a red card for Dani Olmo, by more because there was another player from Real Sociedad, the side, this should not have been a red card, or it was very borderline, very on the edge, especially considering a very similar action in Real Sociedad match 2 rounds earlier against Betis, which was very similar, and where the Real coach Imanol Alguacil complained, and he flew into a rage. And yet in this one, no, right? And very similar. What happens here is that the ball was indeed under control, much closer to Dani Olmo, who was the Barca player who received that foul. What kind of foul was it? He grabbed him a little. Then 2 or 3 match days later, or 4 or 5 later, I don't remember, just recently. Well, look, against Celta, precisely, right? The grab by Íñigo Martínez on a Celta player when he was in full control of the ball. Well, since he didn't hit the ground, they didn't give him a red card. But in this one, Olmo was closer to the ball, but it didn't seem like a red to me either. I insist because of the Real Sociedad player he had beside him. That's what I think. Anyway, emphasize that, yesterday's performance by Gil Manzano was deplorable as usual, and it was another attempt at robbery. In the end, it didn't happen because Madrid won, an attempt to rob Real Madrid. And there's an unbelievable fact about the VAR, because in those plays, the VAR didn't intervene. And of course, you see that 7 out of 10 times the VAR fails. That is, decides against Real Madrid, and in 7 out of 10 times the VAR fails or decides in favor of Football Club Barcelona. And that is madness. But they are selling you from the other side that thank goodness VAR is there, because if not, Real Madrid, and I say this based on information from Pedro Martin from Copio the other day, yeah, with exact numbers, okay? I mean, Madrid would be the team that, well, right now would be the leader if VAR weren't there. And of course, there's one way to read it, which is how they read it, and there's another, which is this one, based on plays like the ones from yesterday. If they don't intervene in those types of actions, it's that the VAR doesn't want to intervene in favor of Madrid in very few, really, right? And of course, this is another one of those anomalies, but it is understandable, because from the VAR you can easily make biased decisions. We've seen it with the frame, we see it with this, by not getting involved in these types of situations, and especially taking into account what Negreira told Barca in a Burofax La Pelota, I can help you with the VAR, see? Why could he help them with the VAR? Precisely because of that, because it is a tool with which one can perfectly engage in misconduct. And in this context, we see that in the Barca match the other day against Valladolid, at the end of the game, Muñiz Ruiz says this to Raphinha. It's very heavy. How well you behave today, how well you behave today. I don't know what Raphinha says, because he's turned around and you can't hear him or read his lips. It doesn't seem like he then took it. He laughed about the situation and such, but oh well. Above all, it's what the referee says to him. Remember, here it's very easy to be demagogic, and to understand that never any referee to any Real Madrid player has he made any funny, humorous comment or such, because that has happened. I mean, I don't want to say now that Sotogrado told us that we had 90 minutes to score a goal against Osasuna and that he wanted more than 4 minutes. I don't want to compare it with that, but I do want to compare it with very similar situations that, for example, it could be Vinicius Raphinha's compatriot. In regard to that, well, that back and forth with the referees week after week, and he's a guy they watch just like Raphinha, right? Because Raphinha called them cowards to their faces the other day to a linesman in front of Gil Manzano, precisely. You disrespected me, you're rude, insulting the assistant referee. and in that context, it's about how they refer to someone, or how they deal with someone, or how they want to get on good terms with that footballer, which is with Raphinha. And with Vinicius, we haven't seen any of these with Vinicius, have we? With the referees towards him in a friendly way? None. Nah, come on, tell me which one, because I don't remember any, huh? Like, how well you behaved today, huh? I mean, it's unbelievable because of Rafinha's most immediate past, right? He called them cowards, he called them rude. He's a very expressive guy, and in recent months, he's had incidents with referees making gestures as if to send them to hell. Do you remember what era when they not only called him rude, but also left saying all sorts of things to them and to the fourth official too? This player hasn't received a single expulsion for this, has he? Not a single one. And by the way, there is another amazing fact. With this, we finished before listening to the crazy photo. Barca is the only team in the first division that hasn't had any of its players go through a cycle of yellow cards. None have had to complete a cycle of yellow cards. Another statistical anomaly, Fauto and the others were counting in unison, right? Because really they are incredible. This Juan Fesans, the one from El Chiringuito, mentioning the meeting that the referees have requested with the president of the federation, with Luzan, because they're not happy that he doesn't defend them and such. How is he going to defend them, especially after the lead up to that Copa del Rey final, when one of them threatened Real Madrid and the other indirectly held them responsible for his son receiving insults at school. Then Madrid got upset, and the federation defended the referees as much as they could with what had been stirred up, because the president of the federation was surely not happy with the mess they had caused, letting them referee the next day. But it was grounds to have removed him. And yet they still ask him to defend them more, and this is because, well, Medina Cantalejo, as he sees himself more out than in, is making the last noise there as president of the CTA. Well, Juan Fesans and Fauto were saying this. He was told on Copa, en el protesta, on el partidazo, in the big discussion, and pay attention to the craziness getting at Real Madrid, defending the referees that you say, hey, one can be of one team or another, and can defend it with more or less vehemence, but being a hooligan for the referees, that is something incomprehensible, unless you understand that there might be, what we all know, right? With LaLiga, with the referees, because defending them to, unimaginable limits, because he must be following something that is not exactly very clean. There are interpretations, but what this guy is doing is not normal. He acted like this at a moment during the talk show.
What's going on with Madrid, Photo?
I have no problem with Real Madrid, Cañizares. I don't like making videos about referees to try to pressure them. I don't like that. Call me strange, call me a weirdo, call me a weirdo.
Man, it makes you very nervous.
Weirdo.
That they make preventive videos associating them with cases of corruption. I don't like it at all. Cañizares, call me strange. Call me strange. Call me strange.
Strange, you're very strange. No, ask them to say it.
You're quite strange. You're a somewhat strange person.
But let me tell you something. Ask Valencia, Sevilla, Espanyol, ask them if they like it.
But they don't go crazy like you.
No, worse than me. They get worse than I do. Worse than me. Because it is very serious. And do you know what's more serious?
Ask the people at Espanyol, at Sevilla, but if they have also issued statements against the referees. After Real Madrid has made them, after having criticized Real Madrid as well.
And do you know what's more serious? Whitewashing it. And do you know what's more serious than whitewashing it? Because when you are seeing something that is not right, it's very wrong to whitewash it.
I haven't said anything.
And to laugh at something that is very serious.
Photo. Now, the referee block up to here is a perfectly organized team. Perfect.
It's amazing because he hasn't acted this way with Barca, a club that paid an arbitration chief 8.4 million over 20 years. I've never seen him act this way with Barca. He goes after Madrid because besides all of this comes from a discussion with Cañizares, because at one point Cañizares is talking about Foto and Lozan. he goes and photo and he's getting on Real Madrid, and Cañizares says, but what's Real Madrid got to do with this? Tell us about the referee's news, but why do you have to go after Madrid again? Then he goes crazy, and that's what happens. But I insist, I've never seen him like this with a club that, has distorted and altered the competition for more than 2 decades by paying a second head of referees. But as Photo says, there's nothing there, no referee has been charged, and well, the indicted, yes, was the boss, was the second boss of the referees, who was Negreira. That should be enough, right? Let's see if we're going to have to indict all the referees now. Now, they are all suspects of having been, or victims, you call them victims, whatever, of having been inside of a systemic corruption in a system, the refereeing one, which are judges already telling us about in their rulings. But that doesn't upset him, since whatever it is. Well, hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to the channel. Please comment, share. We'll be back later. And well, Madrid doesn't play until Sunday, so this is going to be a somewhat long week. But they gambled against Barca in the Champions League. Yes, we are very much for Inter for tomorrow, Tuesday. We'll talk about that too, of course. All right, see you in the next one. Bye.